Welcome to Stories from the River. My name is Kelly Jones, and I will be your host today. What you're going to see today is an interview with Charlie Malouf in September with our retail operations team. We had a day of development where all of our retail experience managers, retail experience coordinators, our sales audit team, our inventory team, all of us got together to do a day of development, leadership, training, and we actually had a lot of fun with it too. So during that day, we got a chance to interview Charlie Malouf and get to know him a little bit personally and professionally. But before I get into that, I do want to describe the day a little bit more for you of what we did and some of the activities that occurred. We started the day, as we always do, with gratitude, which was a lot of fun to see what everybody was thankful for at the time. But then we had what we call a pioneer activity. Some of you may know that pioneer is our word of the year. So we did an activity along with that. And what we did is we had all of the team create an SOP from their life, whether it could be professional, it could be personal. But we had a lot of fun with it. Some of the SOPs that were created were how to eat cereal, which was very fun. How to change a tire as a damsel in distress. We learned about zodiac signs and how to figure out what your zodiac signs are. There were a lot of recipes out there about how to make different things. Really great macaroni and cheese, somebody's special sauce that they make with their pasta. And then we even learned about how to keep your locks luscious and beautiful. So it was really, really great and a lot of fun. And then we did a lot of training that day as well. One of our trainings was called Managing the Human Blowfish, which we took from Caitlin Carey, who we learned from in a TED Talk about dealing with upset guests. So that was very exciting and how to handle that. We did a lot of introspection on our self-reflection, I should say, on how to build bridges with our teams and our general managers, which was really exciting. We did a fresh desk training, which is our program that we do tickets on how to contact people, who to contact in certain situations, all of that. And we even did a program that we called Finance Like a Pro, so that we could make sure all of our retail teams understood how to do the right and appropriate financing. Sometimes there's some tips and tricks in there too that really help us all out. Throughout the day too, we played a bingo game, which was a lot of fun, which was based off of mannerisms as well as phrases or things that different people would say. For instance, one of them was put it in the ACL. So if somebody heard that in reference to putting something into the comment log of an order, if I mentioned my cat Walter would be on the bingo card. So it was a lot of fun. But of course, what we're here for today is to listen to our Get to Know You series with Charlie Malouf, where we actually interviewed him. So who you're going to see today is Josh Hatchell, who is our Senior Retail Experience Manager in our Pineville location, and he is going to be conducting the interview with Charlie.
Welcome to Stories from the River, a show in which we go behind the scenes at Broad River Retail.
Well, welcome. Thank you for taking the time out of your very busy schedule to come chat with all of us and give us an insight onto who you are and your journey to being CEO of Broad River Retail.
Well, first of all, thanks, Josh.
Yeah.
We have it's flipped. Last time I was interviewing you.
Sure was.
After doing our AFI boot camp.
Exactly.
Hey guys, good morning.
Good morning.
You guys having a great start to your day so far?
Yes.
Isn't it fun to be together in person? Kind of break the monotony of the day-to-day. Not that it's boring, but it's a different rhythm and kind of come together and just connect. So it's an honor and a privilege to be with you guys. This is probably the funnest thing I've got scheduled this week, or one of. No, actually, I did go to a concert last night. So you asked me about my favorite concert.
Yeah.
I have to get ready. So anyways, it's an honor and privilege to be with you guys. I'm excited to just chat, and this is best thing I will get to do today, probably.
That's awesome.
So welcome. So what was the first question? I've already screwed up.
No, that's okay. Listen, this is less of an interview, more of a conversation. All right, we're just hanging out. So just to kind of break the ice a little bit, tell us about what your very first job you ever had was, and what did it teach you?
Well, how far back do you want me to go?
As far back as you want.
Was I getting a W-2? Was it being paid under the table? Were we breaking child labor laws?
How about the first meaningful job that taught you a life lesson?
Okay. These questions are not easy questions. It was you, wasn't it? It was a kid. Spring break, I was 12 years old, and I thought spring break, I'm going to get to go play, go outside, do some sports, not have to go to school. Parents are like, you're going to work. I don't want to go to work. No, so I went to my uncle and family had a small deli in the mall, Frisco Deli. And for 3 hours, I guess, I would go wipe down the trays. Just wipe the trays, because in the mall you get trays with your food. And so I would, it's a good question to just ask people what was the minimum wage when you started working. It was $3.25 an hour, because I would get $10, no, was it 10 or was it $3.50 an hour? Because I would get $10.50 in cash from my cousin at the end of the 3 hours. So that was the very, very first job. I think that taught me that I didn't want to work in the food industry, I guess. I don't know.
It's not for everybody.
Clean people's dirty food. Maybe. So I mowed lawns growing up. And I did a lot. I just did that for myself, and I would go kind of print out flyers and try to get people to.
Yeah.
And I would tell my wife today, yeah, I did landscaping. She's like, Charlie, you didn't do landscaping. You mowed in Ed's yard. That's not, because she does like the landscaping, and she won't trust me. Or she said I'd cut the grass too low, and so. And I was a busboy. I was a busboy at, I guess it was in the restaurant business. My uncle had a barbecue restaurant called Red, Hot, and Blue. And so I think when I was 15, I bussed tables. And then eventually I would become a waiter. I waited tables. So those were some of the early jobs. When you wait tables, you work doubles.
Yeah.
So you learn that you can stand on your feet. And, kind of when I mowed lawns, though, the money was better and it was more flexible. And I didn't mind being outside. You get allergic to grass, whatever. You sneeze a lot sometimes. But you're out there by yourself, it is a little bit monotonous because you're just kind of mowing lawns. I didn't have a riding mower, so it was a push mower. And but the money was pretty good, and then I liked the passive recurring revenues.
Yeah.
Once a week, and I would. I did it through like even college too, even after college. But I played college football, and so I remember kind of how hard-headed I was. We would have 2-a-day practices, like training camp before the season, preseason. And I would go in between our practices, which is like pretty tough, and you're sweating, working your butt off, and then go mow lawn. So I guess you got a lot of energy when you're 18, 19, 20 years old. So I wish I still had that kind of energy. Or
you can be both.
Yeah. So anyways, those were some of the early jobs. I don't know exactly. I think they just taught me the value of good customer service and hard work, really, just being a little bit gritty.
Yeah,
when needed.
Absolutely. I just had a birthday myself, so I feel you on not having as much energy anymore.
Was it a milestone birthday?
No, it's just 31.
Okay.
We're 1 year past the milestone.
You're at a great age. You're at a great age. Most people would say what they wouldn't trade to kind of go back in time for like what I wouldn't give to go back to like age 31.
Absolutely.
I'm 50, I turned 50 earlier this year, and but now I wear this Whoop band, and it gives me a Whoop age. And so now I'm so dialed into like how well I slept, my recovery scores, and my heart rate and everything. And I'm like it's like giving me a good score.
Yeah.
And so I will do a screenshot of it and send it to my family and say, Benjamin Button over here, I'm getting younger. So I get really excited every Sunday morning if I get a good Whoop age on that. So, but I've never gotten down to 31.
Yeah. Maybe someday. Maybe someday.
Probably not. No, probably not. But we can dream.
Well, listen, you talked a lot about, some of the jobs that you didn't love, that you didn't, particularly care for. What's something you learned from a failure that you couldn't have learned any other way?
Sometimes you just kind of have to go through it. You got to, one, it's okay to fail. When you look back at your life, you're going to realize you got through some things that were really, really scary going through it. You didn't know if you're going to step through it. You think everyone's going to kind of watch you or laugh at you or something. You realize, most people are kind of concerned about themselves, not watching you. Ultimately, you can get through it and you grow stronger from it. I mean, we've had a lot of failures in this company, and people just kind of see, like, maybe people see, they're just celebrating all these wins and all these good things and all these successes. We had a lot of failures. I mean, one that doesn't even make the milestone chart anymore is Savvy Spaces. Has anyone heard of Savvy Spaces? Yeah, like 5 of you. Well, that was an experiment. It was another brand that we opened around 2011 next door to where you work in Pineville.
Okay.
Yeah, and a 36,000 square foot store, something like high style, low prices, something like that. But it was it turned out to be a high-end accessory and custom order store. That's not what we had planned in the business model. So it was like 90% of our work to build a brand from scratch and deal with like 27 different vendors versus one. It was a lot, and not having the space to put it, and all of it being on delay and dealing with like the freight companies, and it turned out not to be a great endeavor. We would open a second location because we had excess product. It wasn't, and I think the whole experiment got shut down in 18 months. We learned that we really appreciated Ashley more and to get more focused on, and it really crystallized the vision of who we wanted to be going through that failure. So sometimes, if it doesn't kill you, it's okay to kind of go through it and test it and try it, and because you'll probably come out on the other side of it.
Yeah. There's been a lot of evolutions over the time here at Broad River Retail, I expect. What do you think makes our company culture here at Broad River unique compared to some of our competitors? I don't know if I'd compare us to our competitors per se. I mean, sometimes we've created this competition around other licensees. And by the way, some of you may have heard me say this. I think the word competition gets a bad rap. I don't think it's like us versus them, or it's like a negative connotation at all. The root word is competare, which is a Latin word, which means to strive together when you study the etymology of words. And so competition is just kind of making each other better. And so when we kind of crystallized this vision to be the premier Ashley operator, we created this environment to say, well, we want to win the AFL every year. It doesn't really exist. Manny will call it the Ashley Football League. No, it's the Ashley Furniture League, Manny. He'll sometimes kind of get ahead of himself. But it's to win the Chairman's Award, which we kind of call our Super Bowl, to be recognized as the premier Ashley licensee. But it's really to hold ourselves to a high standard. And kind of what makes our culture unique, I would say, is we've got the courage to not be locked into traditional ways of thinking about it's always been done that way before. And so that's the way we're always going to do it, which came through some of our biggest stumbles and foibles and failures, like in our 2015 kind of crucible moments or season, if you will. And so taking I think parallel thinking from other industries, Josh, that we've kind of learned from, that we maybe inspire us, and saying, well, what if we could go do that and implement that into our company, retail? One of my favorite examples here is just this acronym RSA. I didn't come from the retail industry. I didn't, and everyone in if we had never kind of made a move to do anything differently, all of our salespeople would be called retail sales associates, always and forever. And it just kind of hit me one day. I was in Pineville, and we had a guy who'd been with us for like 9 years, giving us blood, sweat, and toil, and just kind of, and I think we were getting ready to celebrate, or he was nearing his retirement age, and he was a retail sales associate. And then we had someone who'd been with us for, 9 hours, 9 days, 9 weeks, and he had the exact same title, retail sales associate. And I was just like, wait a second, 9 hours, 9 years, no progression, same title, it doesn't make sense. Right.
And I just always had this appreciation, sales matters, and we don't have the first kind of issue if we don't we're a retail company. We have to embrace that, and so there's nothing to be ashamed or dismissive about a career in sales or a career in commission-based sales. And I was like, but we don't celebrate that, recognize it, uplift it, and we say that we want to kind of have these career paths, but we don't put it in. So just taking this concept of career pathing, and that's when we kind of transitioned from human resources to human capital, and we said we're going to hold ourselves accountable to have career paths for every nook and cranny of our business, including the non-traditional areas. And so just kind of taking that, and then what would that look like on the sales floor where it's never been done before? And someone saying, well, you can't do that, it's never been done before. Well, yeah, we're going to do it.
Why not?
I mean, another example is Dash. This was when I can give you a lot of examples. I'll get bogged down. That's on one question. I think just not being afraid to do things just because they've always been done that way, or the others think that they should be done that way. And then this came from on your first question. Our biggest failure. We kind of decided, well, if we're going to go down swinging. And if we're going to reset the business, let's reset it the right way. I mean, Kathy remembers the whole reset. I think you were here around that time, right?
Yes, I was.
Yeah. And so we were a pretty good company at that time, and we broke all of our bones, and we were going away. We were going to cease to exist, or we were going to get gobbled up and not have earned the right to exist. And we said, okay, let's just change everything. Let's rebuild. Let's try a whole bunch of stuff that's been percolating and bubbling up in our mind and kind of see what works. And a lot of those ideas kind of worked. And it was all about starting with a people-first mindset, not a profit-first mindset.
I love that.
Starting with a people-first mindset and trusting that the rest is going to take care of itself. Not having being flippant about our business model or about being intentional about that, sure, but that not being the start. The start being how we're going to treat our people and this mindset of performance-based, a meritocracy, earn your way, earn your right, but treat your people with love, kindness, care, respect, dignity, and then that made all the difference.
Absolutely. I love that you brought up the fact that, you can't take someone that's 9 hours in and someone that's 9 years in and not recognize that there's some true amazingness to that. I mean, you take a look at this room, there's some people that have been here 10, 12, 13 years. So someone had brought this question to my attention. What would you say has been the biggest lesson you've learned about your people here at Broad River, since there are so many people that are true and loyal?
This has been the fun part of the position that I sit in. From my seat, one thing, I'm going through crucible moments as a company. What I've come to really realize and see and experience firsthand is the goodness in people. Mm-hmm. So I come from an optimistic bent towards humanity. I have a bias towards optimism, I'll admit that. But what I have seen more times than not is if you treat people with kindness, it gets mirrored back and reflected back.
Yeah.
And people, and Stacy says it a lot, people generally want to do a good job. He articulates it really well. But what I've seen is most people want to do a good job. They want to be able to trust you. They want to have a safe environment. They want to feel respected. They want to feel like they've got purpose, meaning, career path, that their work matters. They want to enjoy who they work with. And if you kind of take care of those things, watch out, because they will blow your mind by what they'll achieve and accomplish. That's just been really cool to see.
Yeah.
I mean, I have so many stories on that I could give you on that, but it's that's what I've really learned about people.
Yeah. Well, listen, you have the platform to tell us some stories if you want.
well, I want to you got a lot of questions here that you want to ask.
That's okay.
I'll get into them.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit more about you then. What is a book or podcast that has impacted you most recently that you want to talk about?
Okay. I brought some props here.
Yeah.
And I know I also have some notes. So one book. I'll work my way backwards. So one book that's really inspired us for many years is a book by Bob Chapman and Raj Sisodia called Everybody Matters.
Write this down.
And actually, I just listened to a podcast this morning because they're doing a 10-year anniversary of this book and they're reissuing it. Raj Sisodia kind of co-created or created the conscious capitalism movement. The conscious capitalism movement was kind of like the Container Store, Kip Tyndall, John Mackey, Whole Foods, Tom Shoes, Blake Mycoskie. I was learning from these guys like in 2013, 2014, which really kind of inspired my way of thinking about business. And they came and studied his business, and just this book is phenomenal. We were actually going through this as a leadership team right when COVID hit. I had read it, and I was gifted this book, or I got this book. No, Zach Mercurio suggested that I read it, and during our Year of Purpose in 2019, and I just fell in love with it. And it's the subtitle here is called The Extraordinary Power of Caring for Your People Like Family. So that was very inspirational. And that podcast is the Truly Human Leadership Podcast. That's a great podcast. And then since I was reading over your questions, I'm a huge Mark Batterson fan. And his latest one, and so Mark Batterson's writings just kind of speak to my soul and reinvigorate me. And his latest one was called A Million Little Miracles. And it was just, he's kind of also a math nerd, but he kind of just gives you all these stats. The subtitle here is Rediscover the God Who is Bigger Than Big, Closer Than Close, and Gooder Than Good. It helps you be aware of all the things that we take for granted in life, and just our bodies, our beings, everything, and just how it's just miraculous in those ways. He's got a new one coming out in November called Gradually Then Suddenly, and we might talk about that. So and everyone knows I love Win the Day and Do It for a Day, and it's probably the best book or most inspiring book on habits that I've actually read. And then on podcasts, I listen to a lot of podcasts. I mean, I pour through a lot of podcast content. I like Scott Galloway's No Mercy, No Malice. Comes out, he does a newsletter, comes out every Friday afternoon, and then on Saturday mornings, he has a narrator who reads it, and it's just thought-provoking. And then I actually went to a live taping of a business podcast called Acquired at Radio City Music Hall back in mid-July. They had Jamie Dimon there, the head of JP Morgan Bank, and Barry Diller, and Howard Schultz was in the audience, and Catherine Levitt from the New York Times, and so but they did a live taping of these interviews. Acquired is long form storytelling on businesses, and so I like podcasts like that. The Knowledge Project is one that I listen to. Every time it comes out. The problem is with a lot of these podcasts, I'll give you one more in just a second. A lot of these podcasts, they're coming out with more shows and more episodes. And so I get anxiety thinking I can't keep up. And how fast can you listen to these things? And so, recently I went from 1x to 1.25x. I'm not going to the 2x because then I feel like I'm just going to rewind it 3 times, 4 times to try to get it. But Simon Sinek came out with a couple. He does good conversations. His is called A Little Bit of Optimism, and he did one on with a nuclear energy influencer. And she's trying to change the perspectives on nuclear energy and how clean it is and safe it is and effective it is. And then another one was the brilliance of boredom and how creativity comes from boredom. And those were 2 that he did this past summer that just kind of stick with you and resonate with you. So I don't know. If you looked at my podcast feed, they're varied. I don't do like some people do like crime stories.
Oh yeah.
I don't get into those. Usually they're kind of business or kind of learning related.
I love that. Just continue to keep improving yourself. Those are a lot of good recommendations, though, and you're amongst a lot of readers as well. So I'm sure we'll take away something from that. Outside of podcasts, what kind of hobbies or interests do you like to do that maybe some people might not know about you?
This was a hard one because I don't know to answer because I don't know. What do you get? First of all, I'm probably a pretty boring person, and I don't know what you guys don't know about me. I like oatmeal and blueberries in the morning. I didn't used to do that as my morning breakfast. Some people do this whole intermittent fasting and this cold plunge thing. Cold plunge is not me. I like to exercise every day.
You've run some marathons too, haven't you?
Well, half marathons.
Oh, that still counts. It's more than I've run, so.
I've done 5 half marathons.
That's amazing.
But it's been a couple of years now. I don't know that I could do one right now in this very moment. I like to we went to the Lumineers last night, Kelly and I did.
Oh yeah.
So that was a great concert.
Very nice.
So I need to do more live music. And actually, I was at a Synchrony event in Chicago, so I saw 2 live shows in a row, back to back.
Wow.
It's been a good week so far.
No kidding.
So I grew up in Jackson, Mississippi. I'm an Ole Miss fan. I grew up in Mississippi. You're going to be one of these colleges. I didn't go to Ole Miss. I went to Millsaps College. I didn't start there. I started at Georgetown, and then I dropped out, and then I reset. I had my own personal reset after a semester at Millsaps College in Jackson, and then. I don't know. I had another company before this. Did you guys know that?
No.
D2 Interactive. I was all about the way the internet was changing business. And so I worked for a technology company in the space. I basically sold websites. I was in B2B sales. And so I would go try to learn their business and then help them get onto the web. Now this goes back a long ways. I'm going to get all my years. This goes back to the late 90s. So the internet was changing the business, much like how they might say AI is changing the world right now. The dot-com craze. This was before the dot-com bust. And so I just wanted to be in that space. And so I hung out my own shingle at the age on my 25th birthday. And that was really hard at first. And then I did that for about 5 years before Jonathan Ishii came calling and said, hey, you want to join me? And we had known each other when he was at an ad agency before he went to Vanderbilt. I helped him move to Vanderbilt. Actually, I employed him for a couple months and I had to let him go because he wasn't doing any business. But I did. But he, there's a funny story there. It was actually a good investment because that relationship led to this. And I came to see him in November of 2003, and he was so proud of the one store in Pineville, and he was walking me through and talking about the business. And fast forward about 13 months later, and he said, hey, we need some help. We're about to grow. They had getting ready to open University, the second store, in December of 2004. And I said, well, I don't know anything about retail. I'm in the industry that I love and that I want to be in. And I don't like shopping. That's where God has a sense of humor. I hated shopping growing up as a kid. I wanted to be outside doing sports or something. And the fact that I could find passion and purpose in a retail business that they say is dominated more by females than males in terms of like the decision makers on purchases. It's just kind of like, you can find passion and purpose anywhere. I said, well, I don't know anything about retail or furniture. He goes, well, it's just widgets. You'll figure it out. He had a lot of confidence that I would figure it out, a lot more than I had. So I sold my business, sold my home, broke up with a girlfriend at the time, sold everything I had, and kind of moved to Charlotte and packed it all into a small car. And and started in 2005 here. So I forget what the question was. I lost my train of thought.
That's okay.
What was
we were talking about hobbies and interests. That's okay. It's fine. That actually.
So studying businesses are a hobby. Learning about businesses are a hobby. Cycling, running, working out are hobbies. Oh, I was going to tell you guys about. So I grew up an Ole Miss fan. That's how I got off track. Sorry, so sorry. Can we cut off this? So, anyways, Manny and I took our two youngest boys to the South Carolina Ole Miss football game last year. And it was a super exciting game. Ole Miss won, which is awesome. And anyways, there was a lot to like about the game. Rick Foshee and Danette Foshee, who used to be our reps, they just retired, said, hey, we got our RV, come see us. And we was like, okay, well, I don't know where the RV park is. We just so happened in this huge area to find a parking spot that was actually right next to the RV parking spot that they were in. And so we didn't have time to see them before the game. So we said, well, hey, we'll see you after the game. And so we go and see them, and like our John Wells and Luke were just blown away. All they could talk about was the RV, how cool the RV was. And so anyways, they've had this desire, Luke and then my son Drew, was telling Drew all about the RV to do an RV. So I told Kelly, like, we should do an RV weekend. I was trying to figure it out. And so rented an RV, took the boys out of school for a day, and we just did an RV weekend in a parking lot in Oxford, Mississippi for Kelly's birthday weekend.
Yeah.
She gave up her birthday for us to do
Wow.
that. So that was one hobby. Just doing, I guess the answer was doing family activities together. You could say is a hobby for when we get to do kind of events and things that are memorable while the boys are still young. So
Yeah, spending time.
I'm so sorry to get long-winded on that question. I wish I had more inspiring hobbies. Listening to podcasts, biking, running, working out. I don't know.
This is all about getting to know you. It doesn't have to be interesting.
Okay. I don't know if that makes me feel better or worse. Or just reaffirms my
Josh wants that cut.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Well, listen, you mentioned that you had seen 2 concerts back to back. What's the best concert you've ever been to?
Yeah. Okay, so I can answer this one quickly. 1996 Rock Fest in Dallas at the Texas Motor Speedway. So I went with my one of my good friends who lived in Dallas, who we'd gone to school together for a couple of years. His family lived there, and then my brother and my sister. His parents were in the oil business, and so they were pretty well off. And they rented like a party van or something for us. And there was a lot of traffic getting into the Texas Motor. This was like a modern day, like a clean version of like one of these like a Lollapalooza type deal or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's bands like Bush, No Doubt, The Wallflowers, Counting Crows, Blink-182, Jewel. I mean, whoever was popular in the late 90s.
Yeah.
Right? I did have to do a little chat GPT research to kind of remind myself, was it 96 or 97? And who were the bands? That's how I can spit it off just like that. But that was the best one because a whole lot of bands. We just had a great time. And, when you go to like a festival type, it's just fun. And we had a lot of fun memories.
Yeah, I remember when they used to do Warped Tour here in Charlotte, and that was a lot of fun. So, is it? Oh, okay. Well, maybe we'll have to go then. We'll see.
I have seen recently. Kelly and I saw the Rolling Stones and Elton John at the Bank of America Stadium. Those are
very nice.
I think Will went to see Elton John too. He goes to a lot of cool concerts, probably cooler than me. I've heard I need to go to Red Rocks, and then I want to go see the Dave Matthews over Labor Day weekend at the Gorge. Now that we're going to Washington State, I figure I got to kind of check that off the bucket list.
Speaking of Washington State, we did have someone ask, and you may not be able to answer this, but can you give us any insight onto where we may be expanding next? What area we are looking to add another store to?
Who? Where? New Bern. Who asked the question? Christina. Okay, Christine. Well, here's what I can do. I can give you the framework for how we'll think about it, and I think that would be applicable. I got asked the other day, why do you want to go to the Northwest? And so I make a lot of big decisions based off of really what I feel like I'm supposed to do. And I can be seemingly impulsive about it, but it's really not impulsive. I shared with you guys, I moved, Jonathan made me an offer to join him in Jackson and buy in as a partner, and it was a leap of faith. Left everything, moved here, didn't look back. The moment I saw my wife, I literally felt like I heard the voice of God tell me that's the woman you're going to marry. Then kind of question it. When I moved to Charlotte, I agreed to buy the house that I lived in for 12 years without ever going into it because it was in the right area. We were actually at Selwyn Pub and the home builder, and Jonathan had liked it and had vetted it out, and we agreed on the price at the pub, and I never even walked into it. So that's not how we decided to go to Washington State.
That's okay.
So the framework.
We're getting there.
The framework. I don't have a compulsion to grow, and I'm not into the business of empire building for ego's sake or anything like that. Like, it would be a whole lot more comfortable for me in my life not to grow. If I'm being perfectly honest, what I feel like my job in this role as CEO of Broad River Retail, I just so happen to be the majority owner, but is my job. I try to look at it as what should the CEO, how should he run or she run and steward the business. And so I think of it as a stewardship perspective. And I think we kind of came through some crises as a reason, and we have this wonderful platform now, and I don't want to waste it. I enjoy the idea of us punching above our weight class, and being mindful of our organizational wake and the impact that we can have and the ripple effects that we can have when we furnish life's best memories for others and into their lives, and like when we create things like the Lighthouse Fund and things of that nature. So I feel like we put this vision. I don't know how many of you heard of the 2030 vision, the goal that we have. Will has. So our goal is to, and I don't think we put it to the whole company this year because we're really focused on the 2025 vision. But in 2024, our revenues were almost 250 million or slightly less. And we said we want to double our company's revenues in 6 years. So by 2030, we want to be doing $500 million a year. Now, I've said it, I got to be held accountable for it. And anyone know the rule of 72s? Okay, so if you want to double in amount of time frame, divide it by 6, or divide it by 12, I think, and you get to, so 12 times 6 is 72, is the way to kind of think about doubling. And so we have to grow 12, our goal, we have to grow 12% a year, double digits for 6 years on average, to get to $500 million. And I'm looking around at you guys familiar with our 4 growth strategies? Current stores, current markets, new concepts in current markets, and then new markets. New markets is 4A and 4B. Well, if you go through Retail 101 and I have a chance to speak to you, this is one of the things. Okay, current stores, we always want to grow our current stores, okay? Any retail company should want to grow its current stores. Number 2, current markets. We have a market share goal. Anyone know our market share goal? Our market share goal is 12%. That's our goal. We want, we're the number one name in furniture, Ashley. We want 1 out of every 8 customers in our markets to buy from us. And so that's a 12% market share goal. You could say 12%, that's nothing. You're the number one name in furniture. Well, glass half full, glass half empty. We're not like Coke and Pepsi. AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile, there's a whole lot of choice in the home furnishings industry. So it's a fashion industry. It's a lot of fragmentation. So our current market share is between 6 and 8%. So we can like double our if we go to 12%, we can essentially double our sales, but that'd be challenging just with our Ashley store markets. So the current markets is to fill in the white space in our current markets, in our DMAs, like Augusta, Aiken. Putting in Ashley store in Aiken is filling in the white space, okay? Going into Rock Hill is filling in the white space that we determine as white space. But we also look at new concepts in current markets. That would be growth strategy number 3. In order to get to 12% market share, we believe that we're gonna have to kind of create new concepts. And the one new concept that we've been executing on is the Ashley Outlet concept. I see that you work for the East Columbia Elite. We have 4 freestanding outlets. And we're doing the outlet concept, both freestanding and store within a store. We say we're willing to take we're not even a 25-year company, but we try to think in quarter century increments as opposed to quarter of the year increments. So we're not like a publicly held company. We don't have to like report quarterly earnings to Wall Street. So we're willing to like take a really long-term view. And so that means we can make investments and sow seeds that might take a long time to kind of grow to get to 12% long term, maybe we have to create other concepts if we're going to be in this Ashley business and want to create throughput. Maybe by way of example, there's an Ashley Kids store concept, an Ashley custom order store concept, Ashley Select store, Ashley Sleep store, Laid Back by Ashley for motion leather and reclining furniture. I mean, you could come up with all kinds of stuff like that. But Ashley Outdoor. But we know that we have leaders who want to grow, and we have to create opportunities for them to grow. And we always say we will grow as far as our people will take us. And we have growth-minded people, they're going to force us to grow. And so I'm looking at like, well, where do we grow? It's going to be harder for us to kind of just get there by incremental filling in the white space or current concepts or new concepts in current markets. And we, for years, said we want to go into adjacent markets where we could kind of get there with a drive there and back. But you have to have a willing seller, a willing buyer, and an agreed upon price. And we've kind of run out of those. And then if there were some available, the expense would be quite large, and you might have a whole lot of debt, and I'm not really quite interested in that at this point. Or you have to give up like a portion of your company, and maybe we're not really interested in that, just to grow. And so this conversation kind of came up and said, hey, I was having a conversation with Kevin Thompson. Well, hey, we're working on some markets. We got to kind of move some people out of the program, and I said, well, where are you looking? And he mentioned Spokane, and he said, well, are you interested? I said, I could be. Cost me nothing to say yes. It costs us nothing to go look and see. And we know some of the first decisions are studying the market, understanding the market, and understanding what that could lead to, and then looking to see if you can find the right real estate and what the cost of doing business. And so what we realized is Spokane's a pretty sizable market, 800,000 people in the metro area. It's kind of comparable to Memphis. I call it like it's a top 60, top 80 market in the U.S. We understand those type size markets. We've done well in them. We feel like we can do well in them. And so, it's non-adjacent. Well, is it just one Spokane store? Well, no, we would like to consider that as a nucleus to kind of grow out from Spokane and just take that same approach of our desire to get to 12% in the Spokane market. And we kind of studied that, learned it. And so we think that's probably a 3-store market in that Spokane DMA. And then eventually maybe we can kind of build a nucleus out there in the Northwest into central Washington or western Montana or southern Idaho. And so we kind of look at kind of building up a nucleus around there, just like we've done here. So it'd be a great challenge for us to say, hey, is it just because we're in good markets in the Southeast? And I looked at our team and said, I think we're ready. I think we're ready now to challenge ourselves for some growth. And so, and by the way, and here's where the framework comes in. If we can do that and do it well, not only can we build that out, maybe that opens us up to other non-adjacent markets. Maybe that expands our thinking to say, well, what else could we do? Because you build confidence as every step along the way, as you crawl, walk, run, you learn not to fall off the bike once you start learning how to ride the bike. And maybe you go from a bike with training wheels to no training wheels, and then you go to like a hybrid bike, and then a road cycle, maybe a dirt bike. I don't know what you're riding these days. But the point being, like, we'll learn, oh, we could do that. Well, what else could we do? And by the way, we can try some things and it could fail. We want to make, if we try it and it doesn't work well, we could undo it. And so the framework would be, hey, can we do Spokane really well? And if so, can we build out around that, build that market out? And if so, what else kind of does that open the doors for us to consider growth? So I can't really tell you, off the record, on the record, or off the record, where we're going to next. But we have a desire to double our company's sales, to go to $500 million by 2030, to allow for more growth for our people, for our company, to challenge ourselves. At our size and scale, 12% compounded annually, especially coming off of 2 flat years or slightly down years in 23 and 24. We only asked for 10% growth this year. But if you look at the previous 15 years, we've grown on average 15% compounded annually. But our revenues were lower. We started at a base of like 43 million and kind of grew that. So it won't be easy, but no good goal worth achieving is easy. But we want to challenge ourselves from a strong, stable base and foundation, good practices, operations, being fundamentally sound, all the things that you guys do, and to help us achieve our goals, and to be really sound on things like Google scores, inventory integrity, order, writing the orders the right way. All those things that help us just achieve our level of success. So does that help answer your question?
Can I add on top of that?
Sure.
What state do you like to see yourself in? Like, maybe not now, but maybe in the future, you're like, I want to go there.
She's so funny. What state do I want to see myself in?
I won't hold you to it.
Yeah, no, I got it, Christine. I got it. First of all, what's funny is when we talked about Spokane, Todd Wanick and the folks at Ashley were like, well, are you going to move there? We still have like over 30 stores here. Like, no, maybe I'll get a summer home and go out there. No, we will have it well represented in staff. But no, I'm not moving to Spokane for 1 store or 2 stores or 3 stores. When we have our core business here. I like living in Charlotte. I have nothing against living in Charlotte, so I'm not looking to go to another state. And I'm a warm weather guy typically. So I don't. And by the way, Kelly's not moving, so and so the boys are in the school that they're going to be in for several years. But there's a lot of great states out there. Spokane, there were a couple failed experiments there with other licensees or operators for various reasons. It didn't work out. But my whole thing, and by the way, we said no to other markets if we didn't think that the cities were places that we could be successful there. But I like to say one man's trash is another man's treasure. And so you can mine the gold. Didn't you just talk about mining the gold? You can mine the gold in places where it may be a little bit tougher to find the gold, and that. So maybe that's it, because the highly desirable places may not be available.
Where did you pass?
Where did I pass?
What were the ones you passed on? I'll say it.
Do you want to switch spots?
Well, no, they would be non-adjacent large cities that we probably, or we took a look at, and it just didn't work out well, or we weren't interested for some of the things going on in those cities, or some of the things that we would inherit. You got to make sure that you can make money there and be profitable. Otherwise, it's just kind of it's just growth for growth's sake, and growth for most companies don't die of starvation; they die of indigestion. So I'm very mindful of, I like to say we're not day trading on this business. What I mean by that is I want to steward it really, really well. I want to leave it better than I found it. And that's really, really important to me. And it doesn't have to be passed generationally at all. And I tell my boys that all the time. And it's their one precious life. They should do whatever they feel called and led to do with their one precious life. But I want to run it as if if it were to be a generational business, whoever's coming in afterwards, that it's looked after really, really well.
Yeah, I love that.